Today is May the 20th. What's the yeast of the Pharisees? Jesus talks about that in the next paragraph. Let's read that from the book of Mark, chapter 8. We're going to read 14 to 21. Now the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. He cautioned them, saying, "Watch out. Beware the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." They said to one another, "It's because we have no bread." Becoming aware of it, Jesus said to them, "Why are you talking about not having bread? Don't you perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes and fail to see? Do you have ears and fail to hear? Don't you remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect?" And they said, 12. "And the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you collect?" And they said, 7. He said to them, "Don't you yet understand?" Wow, what a passage here. Now it starts when Jesus says, "Beware the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod." The disciples are confused. They have been with Jesus, and now he's talking about yeast. Finally, they say, it must be because we only have just one little biscuit of bread. That's got to be what it is. Don't buy your bread from the Pharisees or from the supporters of Herod. Pharisees, the majority of the Pharisees, had regular daytime jobs. Don't buy your bread from Fred the Pharisee, the baker. Jesus says, that's not it at all. Don't you understand? Understand what yeast and leaven is. And then he says, don't you have eyes to see and ears to hear? Now, we've talked about that. We've read Isaiah 6. We've read Jeremiah 5. But there is another story that's very interesting in the Old Testament. Numbers 22 tells us of a man who had eyes but couldn't even see what his saddled donkey saw. Let's read the story of Balaam in Numbers 22.
Numbers 22, 22 through 41, New Revised Standard Version. God's anger was kindled because he was going, and the angel of the Lord took his stand on the road as his adversary. Now he was riding on the donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. The donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. So the donkey turned off the road and went into the field. And Balaam struck the donkey. It turned back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood in the narrow pathway between the vineyards, with a wall on either side. Then, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it scraped against the wall and scraped Balaam's foot against the wall. So he struck it again. Then the angel of the Lord went ahead and stood in a narrow place, where there was no way to turn either right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it lay down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he struck the donkey with his staff. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you, that you have struck me these 3 times? Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have made a fool of me. I wish I had a sword in my hand. I would kill you right now." But the donkey said to Balaam, "Am I not your donkey, which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I been in the habit of treating you this way?" And he said, "No." Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road, with his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down, falling on his face. The angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? I have come out as an adversary, because your way is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away from me, surely just now I would have killed you and let it live." Then Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I did not know you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now therefore, if it is displeasing to you, I will return home. The angel of the Lord said to Balaam, Go with the men, but speak only what I tell you to speak. So Balaam went on with the officials of Balak. When Balak heard that Balaam had come, he went out to meet him at Moab, on the boundary formed by Aaron at the furthest point of the boundary. Balak said to Balaam, Did I not send to summon you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not able to honor you? Balaam said to Balak, I have come to you now, but do I have the power to say just anything? The word God puts on my mouth, that is what I must say. Then Balaam went back to Balak, and they came to Kiriath Huzoth. Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and sent them to Balaam and to the officials who were there with him. On the next day Balak took Balaam and brought him up to Bamoth Baal, and from there he could see part of the people of Israel.
So, if you went to Sunday school as a kid, you probably remember the story of Balaam, a story where a donkey actually takes human voice and speaks. His master beats the donkey because the donkey shies away from the path. The Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he sees an angel with a drawn sword standing in the path. And the donkey says, I was protecting you from him. A great story from children, but an incredible story for us, and especially for Balaam. You know, the interesting thing is that when Balaam gets to where he's going, the angel told him, only say what God allows you to say. When he got where he was going, he saw Israel, and he blessed Israel and cursed the armies of Balak. When he starts those prophecies, Numbers 24:3, he says, this is the oracle of a man whose eyes are opened. Numbers 24:15, this is the oracle of a man whose eyes can see. Balaam learned his lesson. The Lord actually opened his eyes. That's the danger of yeast. Now, the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod was that the miracles that Jesus was doing weren't enough. They were looking for specific miracles. And also, what Jesus is doing, he's doing by magic, by the power of demons. Jesus says, those are dangerous things to say, because if you say a lie long enough, people will begin to believe it. A lie is like yeast. A little bit goes a long way. Beware of the yeast of lies. Open your eyes to see and open your ears to hear what God is actually saying. So what do we do about this today? We're Christians. We pay attention to the Bible, and we do certain things. What you do, is it because of what you've read in the Bible? Or is it because you've heard someone say this is what you ought to do? Let's go back and make sure that what we do follows Scripture, or we too could become guilty of accepting the yeast of the Pharisees. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. Let's Find Out Together has a companion podcast called Salty Saints. Zach Kelly and I discuss apologetics, Scripture, and theology. Look for Salty Saints on your favorite podcast app.